Welcome back to Spitballin Cards. In this episode, we're going to be talking about some very interesting topics ranging from the first stitch manufactured relic cards all the way to new Halloween parallels and more. So the very first thing I want to do is make sure we introduce everybody on the team. We have Phil or Filmington. We have Jeff, my favorite cardboard. We have Chris at Baseball Card Addict. And we have Ty, in other words, Teapot. Welcome to the show, everybody. Very first thing I want to say, make sure you like and subscribe to this channel. Please leave comments. We want to talk with you, and it always is fun to hear your thoughts if you agree or disagree with us. And on top of that, we do have a Instagram, which is just Spitballin Cards. Make sure you follow us there. So the very first thing I want to discuss, we're going to talk about 2023 Topps Update. Also, we're talking about Topps Chrome Update, but we'll start with Topps Update. We've talked about it in the past, but we did not know that in blasters, there are now exclusive Halloween parallels, which are actually really interesting. I will show them in just a moment, but we have just a black and orange stripe parallel. We have a ghost parallel, a jack-o'-lantern parallel, a witch parallel, a bat one of one, and I'm forgetting one, but I'll find it. And overall, a skeleton parallel out of 50. They're actually pretty cool looking. So I personally like them. Usually I pose it as a question, but I want to share why I like them. A few years back, I said, Topps, please create a Halloween product. Do you have a Christmas product? I want a Halloween product. I love Halloween, if you can't tell. And overall, they didn't answer because that's atypical of them to actually answer. But now we have these parallels. So I'm excited about it, but at the same time, I hate it because it's more parallels that waters down the product. What are your opinions on these parallels, guys? Do you like them? Do you hate them? What do you think? Let's start with Jeff.
I'm a little bit mixed. You've kind of talked me into liking them a little more than I thought I would. I like the idea of having some original thought in parallels instead of just making a sort of wave or a shimmer, or kind of a version of the ones that we already know and love. So I like this holiday in that aspect, but it's not going to move the needle for me. I'm not going to buy any of the product.
All right, Ty, I think you might have a different opinion. I could be wrong, but what are your thoughts on these Halloween parallels?
I'm not opposed to new parallels, generally like the shimmers and other things, but what gets me is when they make them the same number. So you have the gold and the gold shimmer both to 50, and you're sort of like devaluing them. If they made gold shimmers that were or some kind of shimmer parallel that I think they look really nice. The lavas look really nice. They're cool, but you put them into like blaster exclusive, like they've done with Halloween. It doesn't bother me that much. I think that's kind of the place to put them. If it's not going to be a standalone product like Topps Holiday or something like that. I'm not a big Halloween guy. I'm a good Catholic boy. I like All Saints Day. But you know, overall, it's not a bad idea. I know it's a very popular American holiday, and I'm just wondering, are there any negative numbered Halloween parallels, because those might be all the rage. I don't know. Overall, I know you were into it. I thought your post like referencing the Lamar Jackson downtown was actually insightful, because that's like sort of thematic too. And you sort of posted that and then said, hey, look, they did something for this. I don't know. It's kind of encouraging. I wonder how much feedback they got. Maybe you're just that much of an influencer now, Scott, that they were listening and somebody went back in time and saw that and said, let's get this guy some Halloween so he says some good things about us instead of just bashing us for taco fractors.
I know. I will say I'm gonna show these cards really fast for those that want to see them. And if you aren't able to see them, if you listen to the podcast on Spotify, which will exist someday, y'all explain what you're seeing if you're watching this in like reverse.
We're gonna hold Scott down and beat him with soap if he doesn't get it up soon.
Seriously, sorry. But here is the Lamar Jackson I was referencing. This is not Topps. This is a downtown parallel in reference to the Baltimore Ravens.
It is a cool looking card.
Yeah, Edgar Allan Poe, he lived in Baltimore. He's not from there. And because of that, that's why it's all spooky. And there's a few different Lamar Jacksons that way. So I love this card, but I do not care about Lamar Jackson, and I do not want to buy a football card. And so I wanted something similar, and this is what they came out with, not that. Here's the jack-o'-lantern parallel, right? So they changed the border completely orange, and they have jack-o'-lanterns that are carved. Then if we go over here, here is the witch hat parallel. On the sales sheet, it says this is numbered to 5, but this is the only one listed, and it's a 1 of 1. So I don't think the bats parallel actually exists, because I can't find one. And it says the bats parallel with Halloween bats was the 1 of 1, but this is the witch hat. And then this is the skeleton out of 50 parallel. So I think this is the coolest one. it's one of 3 that are numbered because you have this one, the Witch, and there was one other numbered parallel, but the rest aren't. So I think this one could have a decent, pull in the hobby, especially for Giants fans, maybe for Baltimore Orioles fans because of the colors, and who knows, maybe the Astros. But that's why I like them. Phil, let's hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I think it all comes down to the execution. I think we're all fans of the Independence Day parallels, even the Memorial Day camo parallel in 2018, maybe even 2019. But then when they started to dismiss or completely negate the artistic aspect of the card and just, exploit the brand by just painting the border a slightly different color and then numbering it to whatever, then I think a lot of people, whether it's collectability, whether it's investability, people sort of soured on that. So one of the nice things I like with these versus some of the holiday parallels is they do have a bit more shine to them. And I know, Scott, you had issued a survey to your Instagram followers, and you said 53% or so were accepting of the idea of the Halloween parallels. But it would be interesting to get their opinion when it's not mid-October. A lot of people are looking forward to October, Halloween, and what would they say in, say, April? Would you still get 50+% saying yes? I mean, I think at the end of the day, I think what makes it is the look and feel, the refractory foil-like finish. If it wasn't like that, then I'd kind of be shaking my head a little bit. And sure, if I was opening the product, I'd be pretty happy if I pulled one. But on the secondary market, no way. Get those things away from me. Be serious. It'll be interesting to see, so Walmart holiday Topps Holiday is a Walmart exclusive, right? And that's not a product that they've killed yet. Be interesting to see if at some point those become parallels in an existing product like Update, and they just get rid of the holiday product if sales aren't going in their favor.
It'd be interesting to see. I will say that the sample size of people that said they would vote for it, I think there was 260 that said they liked it and 150 that said they didn't like it. So it was a little bit off, but those numbers are close. And I did frame it saying I like these before I took their opinion. So I may have skewed them, or people may not have voted because they don't want to hurt my feelings, which I guarantee is the case. So I would love to see if one of you ran it to see how different those results would be, because I bet they would be in some way. I don't know by how much, but I do feel like they would be. Chris, we have not heard your beautiful voice yet. What are your thoughts on these parallels?
I've been trying to come up with something positive to say about them. I generally agree with little things that each of you said. I like Ty. I love that these are in retail. I think that's exactly where they belong to be, or they should. That's where they belong. But I feel like they should be more common. What's the most free? Is there one that's in every pack in retail? Is there one guaranteed per box?
It's not in every pack, but it's actually not that cool looking, and I wouldn't really care for it myself. Let me pull it up. It's just a black and orange parallel. So let me see if I can just find that.
Yeah, I just feel like making them super low numbered is the type of card that to me makes it seem like they're trying to attract older, more seasoned collectors, and we have no interest in this. I'm 100% on Phil's agreeing with Phil. In the secondary market, I will not be pursuing any of these. And I have to say, I'm glad that Phil mentioned Independence Day, because seeing what they did with these cards reminds us what they used to do with other parallels. And I feel like that Topps may have made a mistake by sort of, giving us a clue that they are still capable of doing this. And
that's a good point. That's a good point. They obviously did not care about the borders in these cards. So why did they care on the Independence Day cards? Because they were so good looking. Yes. I would argue the 2018 Independence Day parallels are up there with the 2011 Hope Diamond parallels for my favorite ever. And so that is a great point. But overall, I think it's one of the rare times where Topps introduces a new parallel and it makes sense. Even if I don't like it, it makes sense that these exist. If we're trying to get kids to like cards, how cool would it be to pull a skeleton parallel card? Plus, it's a retail blaster only product, right? So it makes sense why they exist. Plus, it's Halloween time. They got Update out early enough, intentionally, I'm guessing, because of these cards. I was surprised how early Update was while others got pushed, like Stadium Club and other products got pushed. So I see why they did it, and I'm overall a fan. So any final thoughts before we jump to the next topic?
This base design, sorry, that base design is a direct copy of a Panini base design for another product. Not base,
Really?
I guess parallel, but I'm racking my brain right now because there's a one-off Panini product. There's a Panini product that is blue and it's identical, like that sort of like chevron type look. I have a card of it too. I can't remember the name of the product, but I don't know. It's interesting. Nothing new under the sun, as they say. So, Jeff, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I was going to say that I know this sort of pagan holiday doesn't appeal to Ty, but what about the 2024 Easter parallels that are going to be coming out? There's going to be a lot of Easter parallels. I can see it now.
All over
Easter eggs.
Yeah.
We're going to get a cross parallel. So it's going to be very interesting to see how far Topps expands this, especially if it's received well.
Well, it's funny because they have Topps. They call it Topps Holiday, right? The Christmas, themed product, the winter themed product that comes out. Maybe just make a holiday product that's all inclusive. But to Phil's point, and I hadn't really thought about that they made Independence Day, like obviously all that stuff, Mother's Day, Father's Day, all that. So they're sticking to the theme. Maybe there's more consistency to this than we realized.
There's going to be a Valentine's Day theme to bring those card collecting couples together, I think.
Oh,
that one's not going to sell well, Jeff. That one.
It's a bunch of
chocolates in the packs.
Bunch of grown-up guys who were sad about their love life. Not going to buy them.
Beckett had an April Fool's Day slab grading scale change. Remember that?
Yes.
We'll talk about that next time.
I do remember that. I made a video on that. All right. So next up, I want to just discuss with you all. Speaking of Topps Update, we're going to go to the Chromium version. So Topps Chrome Update is being released, and it is getting a facelift. It is actually I wouldn't say better product. It's just more hobby-ish mainstream product than what it's been in the past. Topps Chrome Update was released in 2000. Well, it's been released as box toppers all the way back, I believe it's like 2006. I know 2008, they had like box toppers and Topps Update and hobby boxes. That's where the Topps Chrome Update of Scherzer and Kershaw comes from. You got one box topper per box, so they're really rare cards. Then it came back in as a wrapper redemption, and then it came back again for good. Well, in 2013, 2014, we had Topps Chrome Update. And the way those products worked is it was a mega box you could only get in retail, and you got 2 Topps Chrome Update packs, and you got like 5 base Topps Update packs. So Topps Chrome Update in that era was extremely short printed, and that format essentially continued, I believe, until 2018. In 2018, it became like its own separate box. It's not just going to be, a mega box with multiple packs inside of it. So now it's its own separate box, and now we've evolved to now. And now we are actually seeing Topps Chrome Update be a very similar product to Topps Chrome, if not almost exactly the same. Has exclusive parallels for the first time this year. The box actually comes with autographs inside of it for the first time this year, guaranteed in hobby, and jumbo, which is a brand new product where you get 3 autographs in each of those boxes. And overall, it is going to be a more sought after product. On top of that, final thing I'll say, and then I'll ask your opinions on this. They are also going to be including the little logo patches that they've really been excited about for a player when they make their Major League debut. Their actual jersey comes with a Topps logo saying it's their first jersey they ever wore. It's a 1 of 1, and that is going to be in Topps Chrome Update and not a high-end product, which is what everybody was wondering when they announced it, which personally I love because we all have a chance versus just people who want to buy a $1,000 box of Dynasty. So overall, that is a summary. I gave the history of it. I'm sorry if it was long-winded, but that's the history of Topps Chrome Update, and that's where we are now. Brand new product. What are our thoughts on this? Phil, what do you think?
Well, first thing I think about is the checklist. And we don't have that information yet, but we know it's in Topps Update. And we know that Yuri Perez is no way to lead a product that's going to be sought after 6 months from now, never mind 5 years from now. There's a few other guys too. I know, Scott, you probably have the exhaustive list, but what I'm thinking is like, that's cool that we're going to get guaranteed autographs now. They're going to be sticker autographs, right? And there's also a number of new non-autograph parallels, which is cool. And there's some hobby exclusive stuff. So very much like regular Topps Chrome, which is cool. You've got in jumbos, 12 packs, 13 cards each, 3 autographs, like you mentioned, not 5 anymore though. Yeah. 3 that effective with the change of this year aligned to regular Topps Chrome. But I'm looking at the pre-sale pricing, And I'm kind of scratching my head a little bit because of the checklist. And I know the autograph checklist, we don't know what that's going to be. Assuming the autograph checklist is similar to what you'd expect based on the Topps update kind of names that we already know of, I can't pay 300 plus for jumbos. I can't pay over 250 for jumbos, to be honest. And I think it's pre-selling in the 300s right now, right? It was up on Topps. And regular hobby was like 140, 150. Again, a little bit too high for me. Now you can kind of compare it with regular Topps Chrome this year, the configuration with the hit ratios. Corbin Carroll is in one. You might get his debut in the other. Adley Rutschman, Gunnar Henderson, you might get their debuts in another. Again, it all kind of depends on what the autograph checklist is. Are they going to somehow get non-rookie debut like variants in that product? Then if so, that's pretty cool. But if not, I don't know. I don't know if I can justify pre-ordering anything close to today's prices.
I will say one thing, actually two things, is if they had, Corbin Carroll autographs, not if, they're going to have that, that's going to juice up, right? If they had Adley Rutschman, Michael Harris, Corbin Carroll, Gunnar Henderson included, plus all the other guys, it might make it more interesting. The only counterpoint I'll also answer to myself is like the Acuna Topps Chrome update autograph is by far his least sought after and doesn't go for a whole bunch. And that can't really carry a product in a lot of ways. Like he has one in Topps Chrome update of him standing on second base smiling, I believe. And there's also an all-star one, if I'm not mistaken. We have Braves fans here, so they'll answer and tell me if I'm wrong. But overall, like we have other Topps Chrome autographs of these players, like Topps Chrome Sapphire, like Topps Chrome Sonic, like Topps Chrome Black, like Topps Chrome Ben Baller, like Topps Chrome. Why would these sticker autographs be worth more? So just like question and a point I want to put out there. But Chris, what is your take on this set?
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit it exactly. The best rookie autos that are going to be in this product are already in regular Topps Chrome, and those are on card, and these are stickers. So I don't really see those as being a draw, like in any way. Like you said, the Acuna 2018 update's a sticker. The Ohtani's a sticker. Devers is a sticker. Albies is a sticker. The only update auto that really matters in 2018 is Soto, because he isn't in the regular 2018 set. So that's like the only time where a sticker auto actually is sort of in demand. And even I think at last I could be, if Phil or someone wants to look at prices, I'm guessing that like the autos and the non-autos of that Soto card are probably closer than they usually are for most products, like for autos and non-autos, just because it's a sticker. And I personally, I have no interest in stickers. One thing, I was looking at the checklist, one thing that also kind of bugged me is the X Factor is not on the checklist.
Really?
And that's one of my like favorite update parallels because they number it and it's usually numbered 9. So those are like really hard to find. I think in 2019 it jumped to 199, but every other year it's been just a 99, which is really cool. So I'm bummed to see that gone, and instead I see like 3 or 4 different lava lamp refractors on the checklist, which doesn't get my blood going. Well, it kind of does, but not in the way that Topps wants to do, unfortunately. But I think the only reason I can imagine the prices are where they are is for these debut patch cards.
Yep.
Which I will say, in my opinion, I think that's the best innovative thing we've seen Fanatics do since they came over. I love the idea. I think those cards are going to be really special. With one caveat, of course.
Yes.
What's the one caveat?
I mean, like, so we have a patch that was on the jersey that the player wore. So, like, this card is directly connected to the player in a way that is far different than any patch cards that Topps makes that I'll say not from any particular event or whatever.
Than anybody has ever done. Nobody's done this.
This is amazing, and it's really, really cool, and it's like a personal thing from the player. And so help me, if they just slap a sticker auto on that thing, I'm just going to lose my mind.
That's a great point.
I didn't even think
that. It's a 1 of 1. They should be flying these things around the country to make sure the player. If I see a sticker auto, I don't know. I'm going to start pulling my hair out, and I'm just going to look like 3 of you guys by next week.
Also,
spitballed cards, spitballed.
832 for a Soto PSA 9, which is surprising, like you mentioned, Chris. So there you go.
Oh gosh,
great. So I still want to hear, Ty, what do you think on this set?
Yeah, I love the MLB debut patch idea. I think it is awesome. I was a little disappointed when that was the biggest announcement, biggest innovation in the history of sports cards, or whatever they build it as. It's a good idea. It's really good. It's awesome. I like game dated cards, which do exist in other products. Upper Deck's done that. Panini's done it in a few sets. And when you game date something and you put a little bit of a story about, this is what happened in the game, that's really awesome. This takes it to another level. If it's a sticker auto, they're going to get annihilated. And they deserve to. This cannot be a sticker auto. It has to be. This needs to be Topps' attempt to get a Panini flawless level product into.
I think it's better.
It is better, and I love that this is inserted into an everyman's product. That is an awesome thing. I do think that's probably what's driving the product value or cost up. And it'll be interesting as some of those hit the market, as we talked about, Phil's theory that many of these seem to kind of get hit early. That'll be really interesting to see how that plays out with the wax values. One thing I'm really interested in, and I don't hear a lot of people talking about this, is that Panini has absolutely crushed Topps when it comes to inserts over the years, specifically with inserts. So as I've looked at Panini, because I collect other sports and Topps, I've said, look, Panini absolutely has the worst photos on earth. They seem to intentionally pick the worst photos of players. Topps crushes them in the photo game. But then the flip side of that is inserts for Panini have been much, much better. And in recent years, a few of the staples, for those who may or may not be familiar, you can look these up in Panini. I mentioned Downtowns, which are very popular. And then, Topps copied that with Home Field Advantage. And we've got Kabooms. And then there's another Color Blast. So those three are very, very popular, among others, in Panini sets. I'm kind of waiting to see, as Topps and Fanatics and this machine gets rolling and some of the licenses transfer over, and as basketball and football card collectors come into the Topps products world, the Fanatics world, for inserts to catch on in Topps, because I feel like they've actually been stepping up their game pretty well. If you look at some of the recent sets, many of the inserts are a higher quality. They're not as stupid. They look nice. They look like they have some design effort and some thoughtfulness that's gone into them. And so now I'm looking at this Topps Chrome update set and I see this crushed. I said, Panini has crushed them. There's no pun intended there. Diamond Dominance, some of these others. If Topps can hit a few home runs, I'll say, with some inserts and build some lineage year over year, or maybe an alternating year type thing, some of these products that are the first year of certain inserts could end up having a really, really high long-term wax value, because that's what's happened with Panini. When you get the first year of a product, something, with a cult following like Panini Studio and other products, people all of a sudden want that. And it's sort of the surprise that emerges 2, 3, 5, 7 years, 15 years down the road, when something all of a sudden everybody wants it. Now they want to go chase it, or have the idea of maybe chasing it in a sealed product. So that's something I'm keeping my eye on every time these products come out, with the checklist, is what are the inserts, and then trying to see those in hand or get really good pictures of them to see if they have something that I feel like could be sticky with collectors.
So I do want to show one thing while you were saying that, Ty, and then I want to pose another question. But here we have the AKA inserts, which are limited to like 500 or 1,000. They're actually doing a better job with them. Like, here's the Julio Rodriguez. Here's the Ken Griffey Jr. Like, they're making cooler cards finally, and the designs. At the same time, though, if we look at, where was it? If we go back just like to the basic AKA updates, some of them are really bad. If we look at like the Ryan Express, that looks cheesy.
Yeah.
Like even the Bryce Harper looks cheesy. Thor looks kind of cool, but this Ronnie Rivera looks pretty cool, right? Like, so Topps is getting closer, but they're definitely not there. So here's a question I have not posed. Well, I haven't
One thing I wanted to say about that,
Yeah.
Scotty, is you said the key word in there, which is limited, and Topps so far hasn't really shown much of a desire to have limited inserts in sets. And I think that's one of the things where Panini has made inserts be real chase items for them. So I think Topps could learn from that. So yes, design is one thing, but they also have to make it a worthwhile chase, because if some of these insert sets, you get one in every pack or multiple ones in every box, then it doesn't really set it apart for very much. So I think
those stars of the MLB cards looked really cool, actually, and they made the a lot of the Chrome versions, but they were just in every pack. So
every pack, right?
Yeah.
I agree. And so I do want to point this out. The reason I got that number that I just pulled off the top of my head, I saw on Cardboard Connection, the heavy lumber set, which is actually another decent insert, and I'll show that in a moment. They have it stated as 500 copies per card, and there's 20 cards, and it's hobby packs only, and it's the same odds for these AKA cards, but the checklist is half, so I just doubled it for 1,000, which is where I got that number from. But that's decently limited. It's nothing like the original Kabooms or Downtowns, though. Obviously, those are significantly more rare.
But still, at least they're moving in that direction, which gives you something else to chase. Because like some of the guys said, like Phil said, when you've got the names that they do leading this product, you're really going to have to set it apart with other things. And I guess, I mean, the MLB debut patch is awesome. I love the fact that it's an entire patch on one card, which is cool. So you don't have to get a cut portion of it. But tying it to a game or a specific event, a specific milestone game, I think is great. And they should do more of that. I don't think with Fanatics, the synergy that they're supposed to have, that would be that difficult to do. So I think they need to do more of that.
Can I also ask a question? I don't want to like get off this topic right away, but have you ever saw like some of the higher end relics that have the sticker that says what game they are? And then you look it up and the player went over 5. And you're like, I don't know if I want that card anymore. Is that just me, or has ever happened to you as well?
No.
I'm like, this card over 5.
I had a Yordan Alvarez Topps Dynasty 1/1 RPA. It was like in the playoffs, and I'm like, oh geez. And when I found out he was in the playoffs, and I like looked up like his stats for the whole series, he did nothing. Then of course he turned it on for like the next series after that or something. But yeah, I mean, one thing we have to remember is like Panini Prism, Donruss Optic versus Topps Update and Topps Series 1 and Series 2. Yes, they're all like flagship brands, but I think there might be different strategies behind them, where one's catered more towards like, I don't know, speculators, gamblers, versus one's more for collectors. But I do think that the hidden key that they're missing, which they're going to make an attempt at this soon, is starting with like the Kaboom or a Downtown, where it starts off really, really rare. In the Kaboom's case, really, really, really rare. And then they introduced more and more, and they introduced the golds, right? With the Downtown, it was pretty rare at first, in addition to Color Blast inserts too. Yep. And then you build a cult following, and then you introduce more and more.
And more and more.
As years go on.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden you've got this working formula, and now collectors can afford them. Now all of a sudden, sure, there's not as much utility for investors, but collectors love them, and they're valuable for a short to moderate amount of time.
Totally agree. So here's my final question. Ellie De La Cruz. I know he had a rough half of the season. He actually had some really great minor league stats that were promising, and then he obviously hasn't put it quite together yet, but he's young. So I still believe in Ellie De La Cruz. Should you buy his cards? I'm not telling you to do that necessarily at all. But Ellie De La Cruz, he had one of those patches on his jerseys this year. He does not have rookie cards this year. Is he going to have a prospect card in Topps Update, or are they going to hold that out until next year's Topps Update to get you the Ellie De La Cruz rookie patch from 2 years ago? What's going to happen? What are your thoughts?
2 years ago?
A year and a half ago. Or because if it comes out next year in Topps Update, he debuted in May or June, so it'd be
I see what you're saying.
A few months.
Well, they may not. I mean, they may release those patches in Chrome and Chrome Update.
So you think they'll just hold it till Chrome? That's what your thoughts are.
Yeah,
I would think so, probably.
Am I the only one that thinks that's kind of lame? That he debuted this year, has the patch this year. It was in plenty of time prior to like a historical cutoff, and now he's still being held out.
That he doesn't have a card, but that's what Topps does. They want to hold him so they can get a full year out of him.
It doesn't hurt. It didn't hurt Wander Franco's the values of his Topps Chrome autographs, even though they came out a year after he debuted.
That's fair.
Of course, something he did later on hurt his values. But
by the way, I think I said this last time, but the fact we haven't heard anything about him is not good for his.
I just saw something about that said that
really
somebody like who knew somebody who knows somebody said that they think he's like going to be in the free and clear, but who knows?
Was that guy trying to sell you a Wander Franco card?
He was not. No. This was just somebody I know closely who knew somebody who said they heard somebody else said something. I don't know. I have no idea.
If that happens, the people who bought all the Wander Franco cards will rejoice, because some people went all in, and we'll see what happens there. But okay, So next thing we want to discuss, we have
I
a
was
few.
going to say, like, the opposite of your Ellie De La Cruz, Michael Harris debuted last year, and he has a rookie debut in 2023 update. At least he did in flagship. So I assume we'll have one on Topps Chrome. But he doesn't have a patch because I guess I don't think they had him in 2022. So that's too bad. As a Braves fan, I would have loved to chase that card, miss it, and then hopefully just see it on Instagram.
As a Braves fan, I feel like rookies for you the last few years, like Spencer Strider in particular, have been kind of rough.
Yeah. We could do a whole show on how Topps is mistreating Spencer Strider, but
absolutely.
That's great.
All right. So the next segment, what I want to talk about is going to be about parallels, right? We all know red refractors are number to 5. We all know orange refractors are 25. We all know that golds are at a 50 and so forth, right? It's consistent right now across the board, every set for Topps, and I'm glad they do that relatively consistently. So I want to show you these two cards. These are two Billy Butlers, okay? And one is red, one is pink. What do you think this red is numbered to? You probably know because I think I might have mentioned it already.
Well, it's 2013, so it's got to be to 25.
Out of 25. This pink is the out of 5.
Yeah.
So there have been real big inconsistencies over the years, especially when they really try to find, making multiple parallels, basically starting in 2011 and 2013 was the real time we saw a big boom in color. And then it continued up until today. We have seen so many inconsistencies in these sets and these years and all these different things. A good example, we were talking about this on the phone, Chris, but it was the Freddie Freeman Finest purple that I own. It's a 2011 Freddie Freeman rookie from Topps Finest. It's a purple parallel numbered to 5. And so I love that set. I think it's a great set. But do I have to explain what that card is every time I want to sell it? And if I do have to explain it, does that hurt the value? So my question for you, are these cards undervalued? Are they evenly valued because of the lack of consistency? What are your thoughts on these older parallels that aren't aligned to today's standards of parallels? What's your thoughts, Phil?
I mean, that's a tough question, Scott. One of the things that I struggle with, so I've got a bunch of the Topps Heritage number to 5 gold refractors. And a lot of people just assume they're numbered out of 50. And this is a recent set. And this is and they've had it consistent for a number of years now, right? And it's not till they pick up the card and they look at the back of it, and that's killing people's First of all, it's a sign that not a lot of people collect or know about these things, right? They don't have safe searches for this card, so it's a heritage issue probably in itself. But yes, the confusion. I mean, you can make an argument there, right? If it's worth what people are willing to pay. And if auction prices are continually here instead of here, then is it really undervalued or is it properly valued? I look at some of the things they've done with Bowman, and it's been fewer probably than what they've done with Topps Chrome over the years. Although they've been kind of consistent with Topps Chrome autographs as well. Topps Chrome update, they've made a lot of changes. And one of the things that's fascinating to me, I know you didn't ask, or the question wasn't this, but I think around 2014, they changed, or 2015, they changed the purple from number to 10 to number to 250. Depending on who you talk to, purple is an original Bowman color or purple is not. It's a contrived color. And it's based on the numbering schema changing, right? The color was always there. It was just a numbering schema changing. And that pissed a lot of people off. It definitely did. If that was still around, number to 10, yeah, it's not everybody's favorite color. It doesn't look as nice as the blue and some of the other original colors. But you got to think that would still be demanding an original color premium.
Absolutely. And I want to point out, so I completely agree with you there. Absolutely agree. And we see the same thing with Aaron Judge, and it was Carlos Correa in 2013 Bowman Chrome. They don't have the first logo, and that is confusing. A lot of players don't have the first logo, which gets people really confused from that year. They did it 1 year, and then they started to back up in 2014. And so I think that has hurt value, especially at the beginning. People have realized that now, but it takes time and education for that to be the case. I do want to point this out, and then I want to ask everybody else about this even more. Here is an orange parallel from 2015. This is Mookie Betts, and this card is numbered to 25. The year prior, these were cheap retail cards. No one wanted orange parallels, but in 2015, we've thought of orange as 25 forever. It's a new development. And so it's just interesting to see. I want to hear Teapot's thoughts on this.
I feel like most things that we consider to have some lineage to them right now actually are pretty new in the grand scheme of things. Like we talked about Bowman Chrome autos in the past. We talked about a whole bunch of things that are, depending on how far you go back in the history of Topps, a lot of this stuff is new. So we like to point to like True Colors as being like the staple and whatever, but I think Phil just hit on a lot of really good points. He didn't mention that he probably still has all of the multipliers memorized from every year to know exactly what they go for off the top of his head. But I'm not a strict lineage guy. I don't have that sort of like canonical mindset. I am an eye appeal guy. With that being said, I generally do favor the True Colors. It does drive me nuts. And it's, again, I'll come at this from the angle of Topps and Panini. Both of the companies do this. Both of them change things every year, introduce new parallels. I don't know who started it. I think Panini did. I don't know why they changed the lava parallel to the lava lamp parallel this year, because they've had lava now for at least a year, maybe 2 years now in certain products. Bowman, I think, was the first one that we saw that in. So they keep mixing things up, and that's really problematic. And it doesn't give me hope that once basketball and football come into Topps, that they're then going to standardize these things across them, because I can tell you in football and basketball, Panini does not keep them standard whatsoever at all. Like Prism has a true black, just black parallel. That's a 1-of-1 in Prism for basketball. And then they have a black finite in football. And they have a gold vinyl, which is the superfractor number to 5 in football, which doesn't exist at all in basketball. So it screws with collectors. There's no continuity. There's no consistency from sport to sport. Now, when you start seeing that from year to year to year, even those people who may have that more, like I said, canonical mindset about consistency from year to year are getting messed with as other collectors, other speculators, other investors, whatever, look at these things and they go, well, now I see a gold to 50, a gold shimmer to 50, and a gold mojo to 50. I think these are all just as good as the other. It devalues the gold, at least to some extent, because there's just more cards in circulation, and kind of hurts the long-term sustainability of those True Colors. So I would love to see Topps come out and say, we're gonna try to pave the path going forward and have some more consistency. They obviously have to think about economies of scale and supply and demand, and how do they increase print runs as demand goes up over the years, and not just have a bunch of base cards printed. So I get the conundrum, but the inconsistency is what drives me crazy.
Great point. Jeff, what's your take?
Yeah, just to piggyback on that a little bit, I think it's a great opportunity for Fanatics and Topps to sort of streamline all of those sports, so that when they do come back with football and basketball, that they have a standard, that gold is to 50, orange is to 25, whatever they decide the standard is, and then keep it going forward. I think that's going to really bring people over from collecting one sport to another sport, because it'll be a little easier to understand what's going on. I know, like Panini Prism for basketball, now they have like 40 different parallels, zebra stripes, and whatnot. So I think if there's some sort of overarching scheme, that it'll make collectors more comfortable, even ones that just usually stick to one sport. And when we're talking about some of the colors, like the orange, like Trout has some great early orange parallels, and so does Harper. Harper has a great orange rookie, and even a purple unnumbered rookie. So yeah, once you, especially that early 2010s, there's a lot of discrepancies in terms of what is numbered and what isn't. So it does make it a little confusing, and I think it dilutes the value of all of those cards. One thing that I'm just wondering, and I'm not sure why this decision is made, but to go to all of these different, the lava parallels and the shimmer parallels, and they ignore something like the black parallel, like the chrome black parallel, which they used for a couple of years, and I think is great. And I think that would be a really accepted color parallel by the collectors and well received. And instead of doing that, they skip over and do something else. So it's just kind of confusing.
Yeah, I think we all missed the Topps chrome black parallel. I don't know where it went and why it went away. But it's funny you mentioned the 2014 to 15 change in orange, because that got me. When I was like, just Freddie Freeman stuff initially, I thought I got a great deal on a 2014 orange refractor for like $18, and then it showed up and it wasn't numbered, and I'm like, what happened? And that's when I was like, oh my god, like these aren't the same. and I had to do, to quote Tyler's show, a deep dive, if you will, into all these parallels and what they're numbered to. And it's frustrating too. Like that 2011, it's weird. Like finest purples are to 5, but in 2011 Topps Chrome, purples are to 299. So it's like the same guy, the same year, the same color, made by the same company, different set, totally different number. So I feel like what this does, for me at least, it just makes the gold refractors like all the more valuable, and something that I am recently been really trying to go after, like some big names and some of the early like non-rookie golds. I think those are great. I actually had someone, I was talking about Machado with someone in 2013, is just bananas with all the colors. But he had a Topps Chrome camo, which I think is only in 2013. I don't think they did them any other year, but it's numbered to like 35. No, numbered to 15. Is it 15 or 35? It's really low. I think it's 15. And I told him like I would prefer the Machado Gold out of 50 than the camo out of 15. And it got heated. I'm not gonna lie. His opinion was pretty aggressive, and probably largely based on the fact that he had the camo card. But I'm curious what you guys would feel about that if you could choose between those two. The 1 year of camo at 15, or the consistent, well, I shouldn't say overly consistent. The furthest back I could find, 09, is when I could see, looks like gold refractors were first numbered out of 50, was 2009. And I think it's been pretty steady since then, except like 2014 update was 250, right? The Mookie Betts?
Yes.
Update was that way in 13 and 14, and then it kind of got normal again after that. That's like another example. Those years are all over the place where it pays to be educated. But for me, I just bought I bought a big Billy Butler collection, which is why I have a whole stack of rare Billy Butlers next to me. But I got the camo out of 15 from that year. And it's a very underwhelming card, to be honest with you, looking at it, because it's just no one knows what it is. And it's different than the purple, because the purple is really good looking, but the camo wasn't even that good looking. I don't even love the flagship camos from, again, those similar years as well. So I agree with you. Does anybody else have a different take, or are we all in agreement on that?
Depends on what your end game is, maybe. If you're a dealer, if you're looking to get out of the card in 6 months, you take whatever's more liquid, the number to 50. But if you're a collector, if you want to hold this for 5+ years as an investment or whatever, you'd probably go with the rarer card. The camo cards, another example. Well, the paper camo, number to 99, 13 and 14. Scott?
Yep.
With like Arenado and Betts. Yep. And like those versus like the Target Reds. Like sometimes the Target Reds will outsell them, but obviously they printed a lot more of those. And that's not really a standard color, but those are obviously very popular. Mike Trout, the Walmart blues as well, pinks. But
now we have camos out of 25 and flagship, and I actually like those. So maybe we're all just hypocrites. It's all about, if you were in the hobby at that time when they existed, you understand it. And unfortunately, not a lot of people who currently collect were in the hobby at that time, which I think just hurts the value overall. But anybody have other thoughts before I go to our very last segment?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that the blues are also a color. I think that as a color, that might be the longest running, like consistent Topps Chrome color. Topps Chrome, I can trace them all the way back to 2006. The numbering obviously changes, and even like the shades of blue that they use change. But for people that really want longevity and consistency, the blue refractor, sometimes they look amazing. Like 2011, 2012, those are awesome. 13, they went to like a weird, like a lighter blue. And sometimes it's even hard to see it as blue. And I think they went back darker in like 14 and 15. But anyway, just throwing that out there.
I will say for gold refractors, they were out of 49. I know for sure, not in Topps Chrome, but in Topps Finest, they were out of 49, which is kind of the same as 50. I view it as the same. I know it's not, but I know that at least existed back then.
They've done with the golds. They've done a lot of different stuff. Like if you go back to 2000s, and again, you look at baseball, basketball, football, they've done so many different numbers. They've been as low as 5, they've been 10, they've been 25, they've been 50, they've been 250, 199, 399. Like depending on the product between Chrome and Finest, you can find almost every typical numbering sequence for gold parallels. So it's nice, it's encouraging to see that consistency now where they're like, it's 50. If they're going to change it between products, like Phil said, where it's numbered to 5 in Heritage, like I hope they never change that. I hope it stays that way as long as they have Heritage Chrome gold refractors, that they will just keep that at 5. and maybe people, maybe that's a sneaky play, and collectors can go after those or whatever. But yeah, I want to see that consistency. That's just the big thing for me year over year, is keep some consistency to these, staple numbers. It gets a little tricky with something like blue and some of the other colors that don't play as nicely depending on the team jersey color. That always kind of bugs me a bit. Sometimes it'll just clash. Everybody loves color match. You referenced the Halloween parallels and having the orange with the Orioles and the Giants, so there's something tricky to that in the value. And when you look at values, how the multipliers stack up and other things on those true colors, if it just doesn't work, it's the Red Sox parallel, it's the blue, and it's the Dodgers and it's the red or whatever. But overall, I just want to see consistency, and I'd love to see Topps put some intentionality behind that.
Do you think if Topps would have known that we would care so much, like obviously Topps knows we care about cards in the 2000s, but if they would have known we care this much, do you think they would have done this earlier, or do you think they just don't care?
They're not selling to us; they're selling to people that are opening the packs, so they don't care what we think.
Yeah,
we're sticky. Point. We're the customer. We're the collectors, even though I'm not really, but I'm making content, so I kind of am, right? I collect wax and alcohol, but I mean, we're sticky. They're less worried about us than the folks that are actually opening the product and breaking.
Absolutely. Well, great. Well, final thing I want to share is going to be a new segment where we all, well, at least a few of us, or at least one of us, will highlight a card that we liked this week of someone who posted it on Instagram. So I'm going to pull it up in mine, and I'm going to share. Actually, we'll have Chris share first. Keep it to like 20 seconds at most, just so that way we can not take too long on it. But here is the card that Chris picked, and I'm going to let you talk about it really fast.
Okay. Yeah. If you follow me, you know I love a great super short print. This guy is in the playoffs. This is a Corey Seager 2018 Topps super short print. It belongs to Short Print a Day on Instagram. As you can imagine, he's got some good short prints. But the 2018 Topps SSPs were all like players on base, usually with a hand up in the air, kind of pointing. The bats is like a Salt Bay. A lot of guys are just like, pointing at each other, hand raised. And we have Corey Seager, this beautiful horizontal card. It looks like he's kind of fist pumping.
Yeah.
But good luck finding these 2018 like real SSPs. They are extremely difficult. The PSA gem pops are almost always under 10. And I had not seen this card come up in like well over a year. It was pretty exciting to see it on my Instagram feed.
Great. Thank you. More than 20 seconds, but Chris can't help himself when he sees a nice short print. I don't blame him. Mine, we talked about it. Purple Ichiro refractor that I saw. I even said, holy crap, amazing card. Because these are impossible to find for sale. This is Ichiro. Well, I collect Ichiro, which makes sense why he has this card. I didn't even try to buy it from him. There's no point. Number to 5, one of the best looking sets ever, in my opinion. All right, Ty, you're the last one in this episode.
Yeah, so shout out at Tommy Top Loader. He's always got some really great posts, some great cards. This is the 1999 Topps Chrome Fortune 15 refractor of Manny Ramirez. These are numbered to 100. I have a save search on eBay for this. I've almost pulled the trigger a bunch of times, but just haven't quite gotten there. These were 1 in 944 packs on a 15-player checklist. So you do the math on it. He did a really cool thing here, with the awesome background photoed in his post. Kind of this ethereal, creepy type background. I'll be honest, the one thing about his photo is it just doesn't do the refraction justice. I've seen these cards in hand. They really pop. One other cool set from 1999 Topps Chrome is the Early Road to the Hall refractors, also numbered to 100. So check out both of those. Really cool cards, and go give at Tommy Top Loader a follow.
Awesome. All right, everybody. Well, thank you for hopping on and listening to us all talk about baseball cards. We appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe, like, comment your thoughts. And other than that, made it this far, we appreciate you, and we'll talk to you soon.